You don't understand Akasha. Well, Akasha is the most mysterious of the forces that can still be defined. Now, the thing about this is most people tend to relate it as something that cannot be understood at all. But as something that actually lies below the level of non dual light, it can, in an odd way, be quantified and therefore defined. So, okay, first of all, what is Akasha and why don't I understand it? Well, Akasha is literally the power of the void. It is that divine emptiness out of which the 10,000 things spring. So, this is the interesting thing about Akasha is that it has a dual nature. And that dual nature is the main reason why you don't understand it and the main reason why we're doing this video. Now, in a lot of circles that are concerned with enlightenment, and many people here understand that I don't really like that term for any number of reasons, there's an overt focus on Akasha's dissolving nature. Why? Well, by dissolving your various attachments, it allows for an easier transformation of these base energies in the body to be turned into something more refined. And this can be pretty valuable if you're attempting to become enlightened, or, for lack of a better term, completely immerse your mind or consciousness into undifferentiated reality. The void is that final stage in reality that you explore before you get to non dual light. So, in this regard, sometimes it's mentioned as divine darkness or divine emptiness, or that thing with no form. However, this is where we have to pay attention. That's only half the equation. As is often said, Akasha has a dual nature. It is divine emptiness. This is very true. And anyone who has ever worked with Akasha has experienced this aspect of what it is. However, it is also the source of the 10,000 things. It's that thing out of which reality manifests. And this is the part that most people don't understand very well. You can't have one without the other. Now, because of the way certain faiths are designed, there tends to be more of a overt focus on the enlightenment path or the dissolving nature of Akasha. Buddhism is a good example of this. But a lot of the other Hindu yogic systems, even certain forms of Christianity, in an odd way deny that reality is real. There's this rejection of the physical that goes on within those systems. And this isn't to denigrate those systems. All right, let's be very clear about that. They are effective at what they do. But it's also not the complete story as regards Akasha, and this is why you don't understand it. Akasha is also responsible for physical manifestation. It takes those undifferentiated, in some way, raw forces and focuses them down into something that can manifest by dividing it up into more discrete things. As one man once said, God loves wondrous variety. This only happens as a result of the manifestation function of Akasha. And here's the strange thing about that, for those of you who've worked with Akasha enough. There are things that live in the void. Now, on the surface, this doesn't make any sense. How can something exist separately within divine emptiness? Well, that's because you only run into this mental conflict when you fail to deal with the manifestation portion of Akasha. So again, it is divine emptiness in its one manifestation, but it's also capable of manifesting, and in fact, is ultimately responsible for manifestation writ large. So let's talk about a few of these things that live out in the Akasha. Well, Akashic beings can be a little rough. You know, in general, these things are responsible for things like karma. And karma, again, is one of those things that very few people understand very well. It's simply cause and effect, but that is a bit of a different discussion that we'll get to in a minute. So, what are some examples of things that live in the Akasha? Well, one of which is the Buddhist deity Fudo-Myo. He is an Akashic level being. There are lots of other ones. These are frequently guardian type beings. Sometimes they manifest as guardians that exist right below that level of non-dual light in order to challenge a practitioner or verify that they're ready to go on to that level of existence. Now, if you're using an internal power system, this isn't much of an issue. On the other hand, if you're using a spirit magic system whereby the entities progress you through the different levels of reality, this can be in some ways an interesting impediment to your ultimate enlightenment. A curious concept, but one nonetheless. Okay, so far we've talked about why people don't understand Akasha, why you don't understand Akasha, what Akasha is, its dissolving or more enlightenment-oriented aspect, its manifesting kind of aspect, some of the entities and kinds of things that can live within the Akasha itself, which is a bit of a strange concept. Finally, now we're going to get to the issue of karma and Akasha. As one of my teachers once said, faith underlies Akasha. No faith, no Akasha. Okay. Akasha is also the embodiment or force of karma. In some ways, it can be said that Akasha is karma. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what karma is. Well, it's not so much that you have good or bad karma, okay? It's more of an issue of credits and debits, or action and reaction. Now, some things have an outsized value. If you go around murdering children, you're going to generate a lot of karma associated with the act of murdering children. And in general, it's not going to be good. It would take an awful lot of positive karma to overweigh the karmic value associated with murdering a child. But here's the thing. Akasha is the mechanism of action that weighs and enacts karma. So it's a strange thing. You can never truly divide yourself from your spiritual nature. Non-dual light, that state beyond duality, always exists and always will, and you will always have a connection to it. That's not to say that you can't weigh yourself down with enough karma and Akasha to make getting to that point exceedingly difficult. It's an interesting conundrum. So, this is a little bit about why you don't understand Akasha and its role in relation to karma, manifestation, the enlightenment path, and just what the hell it is in the first place. So, if you like the topic of today's discussion, please give us a like and consider subscribing to the channel. And if you'd like to learn more about all of this, come check out 60skills.com, where you can see all the different coursework and offerings we have in this system. Otherwise, as per usual, train hard and be well.